Hey everybody, welcome to Ask Dr. Testosterone, starring Dr. George Touliatos, brought to you by his book, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Just released a brand new second edition, revised. And joining us today from Athens, Greece, Dr. George Touliatos. How are you, George?
Hello, Ron. Have a nice week. Eventually, the quarantine is over. I hope we have a good restart again, and people become extra cautious. And I hope they get out wiser out of this, hard period of. It was 6 weeks in Greece, but I counted as seven because of the gym.
Right.
You know.
Yeah,
And,
they opened up a lot of different cities in the U.S.
uh,
About 30 states started opening up over this past couple days. So we'll see if we get this crazy second wave of infections that they were warning us about.
the
Uh,
point is, not all stores. I mean, certain stores open up today, like hairdressing and those that they sell the glasses, and the contacts.
yep.
So if you want to get a perfume, you cannot get it until next Monday, next week. For
Fair enough.
instance, the supermarkets and the pharmacy stores were not closed. It's going to be step by step, but the traffic was more, of course, today, the volume of the cars.
Yeah.
People were wearing masks more than last week because of the loose restrictions now. You have to be aware of of the germs that you that you have, because until the quarantine was on, it was supposed to be less volume of people. So now it maybe it's more potentially dangerous for the expanding of the germs, and the virus. Maybe the weather will help, because in Greece we have this kind of dry climate, hot and dry,
Yeah.
because humidity makes the particles, the saliva to stay in the air for a
Oh,
longer period of time. So when you have a dry and heat, then the particles from the spitting, the saliva go down, so there's no problem of inhaling them.
so we should all move to either Las Vegas or Phoenix, Arizona. Very
Yeah,
dry.
I think this is the best. Yes. So
So,
Florida is very wet.
Florida's the worst. Giant
Yeah,
cockroaches, alligators,
really.
99% humidity. Oh, no way. Yeah, people move there because it's cheaper. The housing is cheaper down there, but
The
I'm
weather
never.
is fine. I think retired people go there
Yeah.
when they want to retire. Yeah.
If you ever go
Anyway,
down there and you talk to the old people, none of them are from Florida. They're all from New York,
yeah.
Boston, Connecticut, Rhode Island. They all get to Florida. But I want to know, what's the gym situation in Greece? When are your gyms going to open up?
I think I heard of mid of June, and this is freaking me out
What
because
the hell? Huh.
I mean it's almost next week is 2 months. So it was the 12th of March was my last workout, and the day
Yeah.
after they closed. And listen, what freaks me out is that they have to force us to use the mask. Now, if this happens, I'll take my money back, and I'll have to make something at home, because frankly, you cannot breathe seriously and perform any kind of exercise with a mask.
Mm.
And now consider that they force us to have at least 3 feet, 6 feet away. Now each treadmill is 3 feet or 2 feet next to the other. So we cannot keep this kind of distance. Otherwise, the gyms have to operate with half of the people, and obviously we're gonna be bankrupt. So I'm not sure where this situation is gonna end eventually.
Hey, you know what I was thinking? You remember there was a trend, and I think some people still do it. You'd see people running on the treadmill with those stupid masks on, trying to make their oxygen, their
No,
VO2 max higher or something.
No, because you need oxygen, extra supply of oxygen. Now, if you perform like Andreas Munzer had this kind of experiment, he was inhaling 100% oxygen while he was doing stationary bicycle. In
Oh,
this way, you increase your VO2 max, and your utilization of oxygen is like using also extra clenbuterol. So you inhale a lot of oxygen that makes all the burning process easier.
is that healthy to inhale pure oxygen?
Pure oxygen, yeah, and your
Oh, okay.
metabolism is accelerated, and you burn more calories by that.
Oh, See, I thought we needed like some CO2 or something in what we breathe, or else we needed like a mix for our atmosphere. I don't know. Anyway,
Uh,
yeah, I'm sorry, man. I thought you guys are opening up at the gyms. You're
no,
not going to open up?
no way, because I believe that they believe also gyms are the worst place for the transmission of the virus, you know?
Probably true. Probably true. Yeah. Because, I mean, everything we touch, you're touching everything, and somebody else just grabbed that dumbbell and somebody
It's
else
not
just
only
used that
that,
machine.
Ron, it's not only that, it's about the atmosphere,
Yeah. The
you
breathing.
know? And unless there is no, the windows, they have to be wide open and the sun within, you know? So if there's any basement, they're fucked up, literally.
Yeah. There's a lot of gyms that don't have much ventilation.
The
You know,
ventilation has to be super duper, you know?
yeah, no windows. Like, most of these big chain gyms don't have any windows. Like LA Fitness, Planet
Yeah.
Fitness. There's no windows. Usually it's just a big
They
work.
have the fans, you know, on the top, on the ceiling.
Yeah. I'll train in a mask though. If I have to, I'll train in a mask. I'd rather train in a mask than not train at all. It would suck. My glasses will get all fogged up. I'll have to train with no glasses. People can see my beady little eyes, what they really look
It's
like.
also a problem because if you inhale within a mask, then CO2 elevates, you know, and again you become respiratory acidosis, you know.
Yeah. And if you have, if you have like holes in the mask, that defeats the whole purpose. Then all the germs are going to come in and out, right?
Yeah, exactly, yes.
Damn it. All right, well, let's get some questions because we could talk about the virus all day and get depressed. So question number 1 for you, doctor, in episode number 61. What are your thoughts on injectable vitamins like B12, glutamine, arginine, and carnitine? Do they have a place, or are they only useful if you have a deficiency? Can too much of these be an issue? Can I mix my GH with vitamin B12? And then I'll keep going, but we can answer these one by one. I saw on another video, part of a steroid user's supplement regimen was probiotics, live culture like Greek yogurt. I always thought they didn't do much. Is it useful for gut health? Do orals have a negative effect on gut health? Dude, that was like 5 questions in one, sir. So let's get them one on one. Injectable vitamins, doctor, B12, glutamine, arginine, and carnitine. Are they useful or not for a regular person?
So water-soluble vitamins such as B12, cobalamin, and vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid, are able to be intravenously administered, but also B12, along with B1 and B6, thiamine and pyridoxine, are also injected intramuscularly. I do it myself when I want to give an extra boost to my stamina, and because the B12 is the vitamin of vitality, and actually Sylvester Stallone was injecting intravenous B12 in his youth. That's what I read of. But also you have to know that it stimulates erythrocytosis, which is something that somebody does not want when his hematocrit is already high. But B12 injectable may also lower homocysteine, which is a bad compound. It's a compound that elevates under steroid abuse, and it predicts cardiovascular disease and strokes. So you may lower your homocysteine by injectable B12, but also using folic acid, that they go together. Anyway, you can use within, in a hospital intravenously your B12. Yeah. You can use also glutathione, which is a tripeptide that consists of cysteine, glycine, and glutamine. And of course, it's a potent antioxidant. And you can also use some, perhaps some arginine, that helps with nitric oxide production, because intravenous arginine is way better than per os from the mouth, because it's broken down in the stomach, and then you need citrulline for that. And what else? I'm not sure about.
Yeah, he had more questions. Can he mix his GH with vitamin B12?
I don't think so. No, you have to do it separately. Even though they are both water soluble, then make sure that you do it separately. Now, B12 has a reddish color, and a distinct odor. It smells a lot. When you smell the animal pack, it stinks because of the B complex. This is how also B12 stinks,
Yeah.
And you have to know that injectable intramuscular water-based things like B12 and glutathione, that hurts horribly, like Winstrol, for instance, or suspension testosterone. Yes.
Oh, geez. Then he also wanted to know about probiotics.
Probiotics now, yes. The 17-alkylated steroids, they kill They disrupt the intestinal flora, which is the good gut bacteria like Lactobacillus acidophilus responsible for the digestion. Now, one of the reasons of the bubble gut, and we had this question in the previous episode, is based on this disruption. So by getting, when somebody is within a cycle and use different semi-alkylated like Winstrol, Anavar, Halotestin, Dianabol, and Anadrol, and whatever, then he must use either Greek yogurt, organic, or kefir, which is way better in the cultivation of these germs, So yes, you have to consume 2% Greek organic yogurt because the 0% does not include the fat-soluble ADK vitamins. Okay. Or kefir also, but you may mix it with your oatmeal and it's delicious as a breakfast, It has protein.
What about the little probiotic pills that they sell?
Yes, sure. Absolutely, yes. Okay. Either in capsules or in chewable tablets.
Gotcha. All right, now number 2. Is there a real interest, I guess he wants to say, is there a real need to add DHEA and pregnolone on TRT? He says he's only doing 50 milligrams of testosterone, I assume, every 5 days to avoid taking HCG. So they want to know, can I add DHEA and pregnolone so I don't have to take HCG? And then could you speak about lowering cortisol in the morning, any relationship with insulin? So first of all, DHEA and pregnolone adding to your TRT regimen so you don't have to use HCG. What do you think?
Yes, absolutely. This is what I'm doing, but also I'm using HCG for avoiding the testicular shrinkage. But now pregnenolone is the first step after the reduction of cholesterol into the steroidogenesis. So pregnenolone then forms progesterone and, of course, other steroid molecules, including DHEA and testosterone, of course. Now, you can use pregnenolone, as we said in the previous episode. It may help you with anxiety, to sleep better, and also it helps for the sperm to mature. It forms progesterone that also helps you to relax and to sleep better. It's safer to use pregnenolone than progesterone because progesterone, basically, it's a female hormone. It's more dominant in women. And also you can use DHEA, of course, because it's an anti-aging supplement, and it has to be used in the TRT because exogenous use of testosterone cuts off then the production of DHEA. So you have to substitute DHEA according to the blood levels. But also HCG, of course, is responsible of making DHEA and progesterone. So one affects the other. So it would be the ideal to use a complete different panel of hormones like testosterone, pregnenolone, dihydroepiandrosterone, which is DHEA, HCG also, to be a full pack HRT panel.
Okay. And he also wanted to know about lowering cortisol in the morning.
Yes, cortisol is spiking in the morning because this is what it's supposed to do, to wake up the ancestor men, the cavemen, to go and hunt food, So it rises in the morning and actually it spikes just after waking up with sunlight, of course. And now it gets to the lowest levels before we sleep because it's a stress hormone. We're supposed to have the circadian rhythm and like the chickens go and sleep as the sun rises, sunsets, Yeah. This is what ancestral cavemen do, but now, we have lights in the night and then we cut off also melatonin and this is screwed up. The civilized people. So they make literally the night turn to day,
So we're supposed to have increased cortisol levels in the morning. Why would you want to? Why would you want to lower those? Why would somebody want to lower those?
Because in the long term, in the long term, cortisol, it may lead to catabolizing of muscle tissue. We bodybuilders care about it, but as soon as insulin appears, it's antagonistic to cortisol. So the significance of insulin taken post-workout is not just about nutrition of the muscles, but also going down the catabolic cortisol. So, so it's multi-effect. Now, if you skip breakfast, then cortisol is going to be really high until your next meal, and you're gonna you're gonna sacrifice muscle,
Yeah.
So you have to lower cortisol with breakfast and also nourish your body because you're fasted 8 hours. And this is what breakfast is about. Break the fasting.
Yeah. This is
You
why
know,
what about intermittent fasting where these people go like, 16 hours out eating? Oh,
I said that during IF you have to consume at least BCAAs to preserve your muscle as a muscle spurring, but it's not a good idea going in 60 hours fasted to go and lift weights.
right. Yeah.
Okay, and also imagine that 15 hours fasted, the blood glucose would be really low. Now 1 hour after, so in 17 hours, it will be sky high, and this is not good for your pancreas, and also may lead to fat storage. These fluctuations of glucose and of insulin.
I knew that diet was terrible. Anyway, people are going to get mad at me, but I don't like it, guys. Sorry. Okay, this is the question I've been dying to ask. This was a good one. Your opinion on short cycles with high dosage. For example, 20 days of Sustanon at 500 milligrams every day. And after 20 days, Deca at 400 milligrams every day. Author Rea and Paul Borresen, both who are dead right now, by the way, proposed these types of cycles. What do you think of that? 500 milligrams of Sustanon every day for 20 days.
So listen, I'll answer it in a different way.
Okay.
I blasted for 4 weeks or a period of 1 month in 2012 when I wanted to have an off season before my master's competition. So my master's took place in the end of 2013. So by the summer of 2012, I wanted to do a heavy off season, even though it was summer. So I said I'm gonna blast different compounds for 1 month. So I did 2 grams of testosterone, 1 gram of Deca, and 1 gram, I think, of I'm not sure it was Deca, and half a gram of Trembolone, and then it was about 50 milligrams of Dianabol. But taking everyday Sustanon is not something efficient because it has a half-life of 1 week. So it's a waste of pinning doing this. You may do it, for instance, twice a week with a double dose, instead of every day.
Yeah.
Of course, after a while, it's going to be within your system, but it's not necessary. You're not going to be low of Sustanon if you do it in 3 days, for instance. You don't have to do it every day. It's still in your system. So I would guess the same amount of compound to split it twice a week at least, So if I had an day, which is 353.5 grams.
3,500 milligrams of Sustanon a week, that would be. Wow.
It's double. It's 2 ml of Sustanon every day. That's a lot,
Yeah.
So it's crazy also, 3.5 grams. I never heard of, IFBB pros usually do it about 2 grams a week. This is reasonable because they also use 1 or another 2 grams of other gear as well. Right. So makes total 4 grams. Eventually, you're not going to have a place to shoot all this oil.
It's a lot of oil. But what's the point of doing
what's the problem
short cycles with very high amounts? Is that a good idea or a very bad idea?
Listen, now if we take the amount of the compound that you shoot within 1 month and you divide it by 2 and you do it in 2 months, this is healthier, of course, because you don't have the spike and the side effects. And also mind that within 1 month, what I noticed also for myself was bloating, excessive bloating and edema and excessive estrogens and headache and, this pancake moon face that you have, and which is not healthy also because of the hematocrit. But also the gains are based on water reduction and water retention. Yeah. And with something that right afterwards goes away. It's like you stop using creatine, So basically you get rid of this, and there's not enough time to make muscle within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
So William Whaling also said that there is a time of 8 weeks or 12 weeks that the receptors get accustomed and saturated. After that period, it's like spilling a glass of water with extra drug that is not used.
Right.
So I guess the pros are less than the cons. So the disadvantages are way more than the advantages during such a blast in a short period of time. Plus, apart from the side effects, the gains are not solid.
Yeah, I should have asked this guy if he could clarify. I wonder if he was going to keep doing, if he was going to switch from one compound to another, or if he was going to do, after 20 days, he was going to add 400 milligrams of Deca and continue doing 500 milligrams of test every day. That would have been crazy. But I think he was going to go from one to the other. That's what it sounded like to me.
And to be honest with you, Andreas Munzer, in his cycle, he was using 2 testosterone, I think every day. It was crazy shit.
So that was 500 milligrams, right? There were 2 testosterone came in the little glass 250 milligram amps, I believe, right? From sharing. Yeah, nice stuff. Good stuff. Okay, more drug questions. Here we go. I'm thinking about starting a beginner cycle with only Deca and stack the 3 other drugs that you had recommended in a previous video. Proviron, DHEA, and the third one that I can't seem to remember its name. The reason I avoid the use of test is because I want to minimize the shutdown after the cycle. I'm too young to start a TRT treatment, and I do not want to experience a long time of low test. I would rather add a small amount of Deca and these 3 to experience minimal fluctuations of my test levels because I'm 21. Is this a solid option for cycle, and what doses would you recommend? I prefer not using test. I know that test is almost always a must, but I don't want to replace my natural production. So he believes that other drugs will not shut down his natural production. Only test.
Which is wrong, of course. Test, of course, shut off the HPTA from day one, but also we know that progestins, which is progestational drugs like nandrolone and its derivative, which is trembolone, also suppress HPTA. Yeah. Because also prolactinemia. And every drug basically is such off HPTA, even Anavar in the long term, those are become accumulated. Yeah. But also other reasons for suppression are androgenicity. So trembolone, for instance, halotestin suppress more because they're more androgenic rather than Winstrol, Anavar, or Primabol, for instance. And also estrogen release is another negative factor. For instance, Dianabol, Deca are supposed to be aromatized, so this shuts off the brain for production of testosterone. But in case you use testosterone, within the cycle, you're not going to notice any significant reductions in your libido because you have exogenous supply of testosterone that ensures that you have a decent sex drive. Of course, your own production is suppressed, but within the cycle, you're not going to face any erectile dysfunction. Afterwards, of course, either you use testosterone, either not using testosterone, you're not going to avoid any the PCT, you know?
Yeah.
But in case this guy does not want to use testosterone for any reason, he may replace testosterone with Proviron and also Masteron. These are decent androgens, DHT synthetic actually.
Yeah.
You know, other androgens are halotestin, which is very toxic, of course. And also, yes, to people that want to use just Anavar, for instance, I tell them you may use alongside Proviron and DHEA as mild androgens to keep your sex drive decent, you know?
Yeah. I mean, for this kid, he really would be better off just doing a little bit of test if he's going to do something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, every time I talk to O'Connor about this, it's always comes back to test. It's what the body is.
And mind that
it's a perfect hormone for our bodies.
Yes. Mind that testosterone, I mean, when you use Deca and Trembolone, you need twice of it of testosterone. Imagine of using 0 nandrolone.
Yeah.
Then the effect is going to have, you know?
That would be crazy. Okay, here's a really cool question. We got some good ones this week. My grandfather is 86 tomorrow, and I've been thinking about injecting him with Deca-Durabolin for his arthritis problems. He has had this autoimmune disease for about 20 years, and it's sad to see him going from cycling the Cape Argus, I don't know what country that is, to struggling.
Greece.
Oh, it's in Greece? Oh, okay. Oh, it's one of your guys then. To struggling to walk, to make coffee in the morning. He was the one that got me into fitness, and I feel obligated to help him. He's doing all his exercises, and I throw in a bit of progressive overload as well. Seemingly, the biokinetist doesn't focus on that. Deca-Durabolin is famous for left ventricle hypertrophy. I was wondering whether it would be stupid to inject him with Deca. I know it's one huge stretch, but seemingly it used to be available for human consumption. I thought it could be less dangerous if he receives small dosages. So should he start injecting Grandpa with Deca?
Now, LVH, yes, LVH takes place under high-intensity weightlifting. So I guess his grandfather doesn't not even maybe lift weights, but if he does, sure, he won't go higher than 70%. at 85 years old. So
86.
yes,
Wow.
so yes, it would be beneficial for his joints at 50 milligrams a week, for instance. But it needs about 1 month to establish a decent decent levels, and kick aldosterone and do this water retention within the synovial cavity that lubricates. So there's no point of LVH. LVH is the result of excessive weightlifting along with anabolic steroids and a lack of cardio.
And I mean, how long would it take? It would take a while to really develop that LVH. Years, right?
Oh yes, years. Come on, yes.
So he's already 86. I mean, if it happens to him when he's 96, if he lives that long, I mean, I think
we're talking about massive doses of AAS along with heavy-duty bodybuilding training.
Yeah.
So just AAS at 50 or 100 milligrams, for instance, low dose of anabolic steroids for medical purposes that have no effect on that. Maybe they raise some liver enzymes, but not affect to the heart in such low doses without training.
What were you giving your grandmother? It's like 100 years old. I know it wasn't Deca, was it? What were you giving her?
Yeah, it was Deca.
It was Deca.
We gave her 50 milligrams for 6 months, and another 50 milligrams, so 100 milligrams for another 6 months. So zero osteoporosis, zero anemia, no muscle wasting, but some decent strength to stand from the bed and sit on the wheelchair or take a few steps.
Yeah. How old is your grandmother?
105.
105. Wow. Holy 105. Good God. So she was born in 1915.
Yes, it was right after the Titanic sink.
Was she on the Titanic? Oh my God.
No, but she heard some rumors about a boat that sank just out of America, in those years.
105. God bless her. Here's a good question about mixing things in the syringe. Can I use Tren E and Test E in the same syringe, or is it better to inject them separately? Is 250 milligrams of Test E enough for 200 milligrams of Tren, or should I up the testosterone? Then he wants to know any good supplements for kidney protection from the Tren and supplements for heart protection. So first of all, is it okay to, I've always done it, is it okay to mix drugs in the same syringe?
Yes, we have to mix them as long as the ester is the same. So enanthate or propionate, for instance, or perhaps acetate with propionate, that they kind of resemble. It's a good choice in order to avoid extra pinning.
I mean,
you can also shoot boldenone, equipose with enanthate also, or cypionate. They match because they are slow esters.
Yeah, I mean, you say use the same esters, but I've done things like test sip. I would split up my test, take the test more often so that I could put the Tren in the same syringe and then do them every other day. A little bit of test and 100 milligrams of Tren or whatever.
But test sip has to be used twice a week. It's like the enanthate. There's no point, no reason, no substantial benefit of injecting 3 times a week, for instance.
Well, I was just doing it because I had to inject the Tren 3 times a week anyway because it was acetate. So I was just trying to kill 2 birds. I don't want to be a pin. I don't want to be a pin cushion. So he wants to know, is 250 milligrams of test a week enough for 200 milligrams of Tren, or should he up the test?
Rough. I mean, it has to be double, so it's slightly above it. So I guess half a gram with 200 or 200 of Tren for the sex drive,
Oh, okay.
just for the sake of that. Now, if you use, for instance, some extra proviron and you do not notice any erectile dysfunction, 250 would be okay. But I guess your strength is going to be lower with half a dose of testosterone.
So then they were looking for kidney protection supplements if you're using Tren.
There's no such a supplement, for kidney protection. Tren stresses the kidneys out of the hypertension that stimulates, so it affects the glomerulus. So you have to avoid stimulants. You have to avoid salt. You have to extra salt. Of course, you have to drink water low in sodium. You have to perform cardio, but stimulant-free, of course. You may use some arginine and citrulline for some vasodilation and perhaps some slight reduction of blood pressure. Make sure you hydrate a lot. You don't take alongside creatine and diclofenac that are also stress the kidneys, and keep your blood pressure low. Of course, if you elevate your testosterone, that may have an impact on your blood pressure out of aldosterone. So keep in mind and to check your blood pressure to be below 100, 120 and 80.
Okay.
You know,
supplements for heart protection. Yeah, that's a whole other question.
So several different. So you have niacin for the HDL, also perhaps some krill oil that lowers also triglycerides. And now for total cholesterol and LDL, apart from statins that stress the liver, they may use after the cycle. You have to use bergamot, phytosterols, then red rice yeast, of course, which acts like the statins, polycosanol, and resveratrol, different compounds that they can affect lipids sort of like statins without the nasty side effects to the liver, to the muscles also.
Good enough. Here we go. What is your opinion about an only Primabol cycle? So only Primabol 200 milligrams a week for 8 to 12 weeks. What do you believe about HPTA axis suppression and Primabol? There are controversial opinions about metanolone's ability to suppress the HPTA axis. Will Primabol be enough to maintain erectile function, or due to the absence of a strong androgen like testosterone, will this lead to erectile dysfunction? If yes, could Proviron help? So Primabol only cycle, first of all.
So Primabol is of low anabolic activity, which is about 70, which is lower than testosterone, of course, Deca and Equipos. It's a drug that does not aromatize. So this is good prognostic for the HPTA reduction. So there's no estrogen that shuts off LH production from the brain.
Yeah. And
of course, the reduction of HPTA is according to the dose, but also Primabol is of low androgenicity. That is another good reason not to shut off HPTA that much.
Okay.
So absence of estrogens and low androgenic index are good points for not to suppress HPTA that much. And a low dose of 200 milligrams, so 100 milligrams twice a week would be a fair enough dose. A low dose, of course, but without side effects also to the liver and to the lipids. Now, if you still worry about your erectile dysfunction, you may use some Proviron, and some DHEA alongside. So 50 milligrams of Proviron every day and 50 milligrams of DHEA.
I'm making a note of that, doctor.
Yes.
I'm making a note of that.
But this, of course, is something of a beginner cycle, of course.
Right. Okay. Now this, I don't know if this was a question or he was sort of disputing something you had talked about before. If you want to respond to this, he said, that makes no sense. Caloric deficit and reducing insulin to boost HGH to burn fat to get rid of the gut is the way to go. Yes, but smaller meals every 2 hours to boost metabolism, which is an old myth and debunked many times, will further spike insulin and not lower it. The best way to lower insulin is to go on a ketogenic diet combined with intermittent fasting. So 16/8. Okay, so 16 hours of fasting and 8 hours of eating with 2 meals a day, high protein, moderate fat, low carb will burn body fat much quicker by lowering insulin and use ketones as a fuel source instead of glucose. I lost 40 pounds without lowering my calories within 12 months by just doing this, and I was not overweight to begin with. So he's saying this way of dieting is better.
Yes, listen to me. First of all, he lost 40 pounds. He was a fat guy, okay?
He says he wasn't, but who knows? Yeah.
Okay, when it sounds to me he lost 40 pounds, he was a fat MF. Now, IF does not apply to bodybuilding. Now, without glycogen stores, without energy, you cannot live seriously. You cannot be fasted and hungry for 16 hours and going to lift seriously as weights. Of course, you're going to lose some muscle in the 60 hours fasting window if you don't get BCAAs and some other food sources like egg whites that may preserve your muscle. And by the way, they have negligible insulin effect. Yeah. Now, insulin spiking is something different than keeping steady insulin levels. You may spike insulin with 2,000 calories, but you may also spike insulin with 500 calories of sugar. So it's different by eating small meals containing fiber and complex carbs and animal protein and essential fatty acids. This is what bodybuilding is about: steady supply of energy and preserve muscle and avoiding losing muscle out of fasting. Yeah. So every bodybuilder is very anxious to stay out of the 3 hours window and get fasted. He has to consume something in order to preserve his muscle, of course, with protein, but also some carbs that are muscle sparing. Now, in order to minimize your gut, you have to fast, of course. You have to be in caloric deficit. But without eating is not good to preserve your muscles. So you may have meals every 3 hours that consist of protein, at least, and of course, very low carbs and plenty of fiber. So this is kind of keto dieting, you know, low carbs, but of course, excessive protein is not the real deal keto diet. So I'm talking as a bodybuilder. I'm not talking as a general, you know, a doctor who just want a fat ass guy to become a smaller one without lifting weights. Right. So here is the substantial difference: to have muscles, you know, in order to be able to lift and to preserve muscles, you know, because muscle, catabolizing muscle, then the whole point is lost if you lose muscle along with fat. Okay.
Well, here's the thing, doctor. He said he lost 40 pounds and he wasn't overweight. So what if you had 40 pounds of fat and you were overweight?
Why to lose 40 pounds if you're not overweight? Is he serious? Come on.
I mean, did he lose? I don't understand. So what was the 40 pounds? Did you lose 40 pounds of muscle?
Of course, but he said that he had this kind of gut.
Yeah.
Bubbles we're talking, because this is from the previous.
Okay, it's the same guy.
Okay. So yes, in order to minimize your bubble gut, as I said about Phil Heath, you have to minimize your calories and your insulin, and you have to get smaller meals. But if you do IF, then you're going to lose serious amount of muscle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we need some real studies on this. But
another thing, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
He wants to debunk the fact that frequent meals do not stimulate BMR. Now, if this was true, then bodybuilders wouldn't consume during dieting every 2 hours, even every 1 hour. That Jay Calder used to say that I want to stay big, so I'm eating every 1 hour. So even 5 or 8 or even 12 meals a day, you know. So by eating food, you make sure that your organism, your system, burns out those calories. And this is that means that the factor within your system, you know, is on and then burns off these calories. This is the process of digestion, you know, and utilizing foods. So if you starve or if you do IF, you know, your BMR goes down. This is something significant that every dietitian says. You have to eat frequent in order not let your BMR to sleep. You know, and especially fiber that has this effect to the negative calories, because fiber is so hard to be digested that the large intestine, the bowel, spends tremendous amount of calories to break it down, and these are the so-called negative calories.
Fair enough.
This is how it works for me, and this is how I did my pre-contest preparation. You know,
that's how it works for every bodybuilder I've ever known, ever. So, yeah. Here's a good one. What's the best angle to pin and inject steroids? Like 90 degrees? Should it be administered quickly or slowly? How can someone prevent the development of scar tissue? Is aspirating essential? And should someone massage the area of injection? So first of all, the best angle for injection, when he says 90 degrees, so that would be like straight down. I mean, why would you go at a weird angle?
No, you have to do it vertical, perpendicular. So 90 degrees. Yes.
Okay, so 90 degrees is the best angle. Should it be administered quickly or slowly?
No, not abruptly, not quickly, not fast, no rapidly, because you may notice some coughing, which is actually injecting some air bubbles into the blood, and that it may the coughing practically means embolism. So those tiny particles of air get to your pulmonary vessels, and then you may experience some coughing, you know. And now aspiration, I never aspired in my life, but I have to tell you that occasionally, sometimes when I took off the needle from my butt, there was a large
A stream of blood shot out.
Blood, yeah,
Yeah,
because
that's happened to me.
the artery, that means when the artery was ruptured, you know?
Yeah.
And this is something that you have to compress it for 1 minute to stop the hemorrhage. It's not about veins, it's about the artery that has some pressure, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a thriller, you know?
I always got upset when that happened because I'm like, oh no, the steroids probably just shot out too. Damn it. It's all wasted. I got to probably shoot again.
When you go to the ER, they aspirate to you when they give you a shot, you know?
Mm.
But now when you aspirate, it means you drop back the content and you get blood. Then you have to pin again in another spot, you know, because probably apparently you have injected into a vessel, a vein or an artery. So you have to pin again. You know, this is nerve-wracking.
Yeah, that's why we usually go in the upper that upper outer quadrant of the glute because there's not a lot of big blood vessels there.
No, actually, this is the reason it's safer, this apartment, because the sciatic nerve becomes from the other side. So if you inject the sciatic nerve, you're gonna have horrible reactive pain, you know?
What about scar tissue? Is there any way to avoid scar tissue developing?
Now, scar tissue is a result of pinning with large needles. Okay, these needles they have the color of green in Greece. I don't remember how many gauges are. But in order to avoid them, you have to do smaller needles, like the blue one in Greece, or the insulin needles, you know, they're very tiny.
So that's a 30 gauge.
Yes.
I prefer a 25 gauge.
But on the other point,
Sustanon used to come with a 20 gauge, I think it was. Whew, that was a big one. Left a big hole in your butt.
On the other hand, the larger the needle is the easier to inject or also to draw blood, you know. Yeah. But it hurts more, of course.
Actually, I believe Sustanons used to come in an 18 gauge, the ones that were you just assembled them, you took them out of the pack and you put it together. 18 gauge, it was a big, like a harpoon needle. Last question. Should someone bother massaging, or is there no point to that?
It has to massage to, you know, in this area in order to absorb better the oil and to spread, you know, the solution would be better with your fist, actually, like this.
Fist, okay. Got to have some flexibility. Okay. If I was to take 2 IUs of human growth hormone post-workout without any insulin, when can I drink my post-workout shake?
It can be after 30 minutes in order to get advantage of the low blood sugar levels in the anabolic window. And actually, right after the workout, if you stay fasted for 30 minutes, the growth hormone is still, the endogenous one is still rising, you know, because it rises when under low insulin, of course, under heavy weight training. But as soon as you are fasted, then your growth hormone is still high. So you may shoot it, and it would be better to wait for 30 minutes in order to drink your post-workout shake with carbs. You're gonna favor the fat burning because of already low blood sugar levels, you know.
Is there any benefit to injecting your growth hormone right after a workout?
Yes, it's for the sake of hypoglycemia and the fat burning process of growth hormone, because growth hormone works better in a high insulin sensitivity state under low insulin. So under breakfast and under post-workout, to get advantage of these low insulin, high growth hormone levels that burn fat.
Right. Well, I mean, I knew about doing it when you first wake up and you're on an empty stomach, but I never thought do it right after your training too. But somebody had that idea. Final question. I am 51 years old. I am on TRT, 185 milligrams a week of test sip. I'm thinking about taking HGH. What is a good dosage, and can you take it all year long?
For anti-aging purposes, you have to use low dose according to your serum IGF-1 levels. So 2 IUs split at 1 a.m., 1 p.m. is the best way to use GH for age management. If you can do 2 a.m., 2 p.m., it would be better for fat burning also. But GH works better with testosterone, with androgens also. You know, it's a synergistic effect, and it's way better. So I guess testosterone is more sufficient for this age of 50s. because of hypogonadism, and also GH can be something extra, of course.
Right.
So,
Okay.
but unless he wants to use GH, it's better to use it with testosterone. Otherwise, use it alone. He has to watch out his A1C glycemic hemoglobin in case he has some insulin resistance, because under those circumstances, he has to avoid carbs, because growth hormone is diabetogenic. It releases blood sugar from the liver, and this is how insulin resistance is established, diabetes type 2.
He's on TRT, though. He said he's on 185 milligrams.
It's an excellent choice, yes. He can use alongside growth hormone. And actually, when you use testosterone, you have better insulin sensitivity because you burn your mental fat.
And can you use it all year long? Of course you can. That's great. Of course.
Yes.
If you can afford it. Damn. Okay. Well, doctor, that is all our questions. I forgot to let everyone know this book, Bodybuilding, the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, is available on your website, gtool.com, gtoul.com. You can see behind the doctor on Amazon.com. He's got a brand new book coming out. I believe this week. Training.
So I think so by Friday. Yeah, training, nutrition, supplementation in bodybuilding. It's 140 pages. It's gonna cost $15 the paperback and $13 the ebook.
Yeah.
On Amazon, yes.
That's the cost of a drink if you go out to a bar. That's very, very, very reasonable. Also, go out, let you guys know every Tuesday on musculardevelopment.com is Dr. T Tuesday. We post this video on our website and on the YouTube channel. There's a brand new article by the doctor on musculardevelopment.com. We post it on the homepage and on the No Bull forums. And your questions. You guys want to know where to leave questions? Right here under the comment section on the YouTube videos. Because sometimes I'm doing an Ask Ron live video and they start asking me drug questions. I say, guys, I'm not a doctor. You got to leave these questions for the doctor and we get to them.
I forgot. I wrote it down on the forum. I think it's about time to
get you and Dr. O'Connor back together.
Yes, to invite him in order, to. I was introduced. I was invited 2 years ago, August 2018, in your show, in his show. So it's time for me to pay back this invitation and be our guest, Thomas. And I want to discuss with him some matters like estrogens under TRT, because there is a lot of demonizing aromatase inhibitors, statins also, and people that are out of the medical world are taking this responsibility. I think it's not valid to do.
Wow.
So
you guys are the doctors. You guys coordinate it. I'll be here. I'm always here. So whenever you guys want to do it, let's make it happen. I'm all for it. It'd be great.
Yeah, give me the invitation, and whenever he's available, we can do it.
Cool.
Every time of the week. It doesn't have to be regular Mondays.
Okay. Well, you guys work it out, and I'll be available whenever you guys are available. It'll be a great episode. It was always cool when we have two of the top. He's a testosteronologist. He's got a new branch of medicine.
He uses testosterone himself.
Yeah, of course. But yeah, you guys are great together. I'd love to have another show. Well, doctor, thank you for taking the time. I'm glad Greece is starting to open up. I'm hoping that same thing happens here soon in my state. But right now we're looking at another couple weeks of quarantine. But we'll make the best of it. We'll get through it.
So, I think we'll be resolved within May.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. Jeez, I just want to go back to the gym.
This is a big question mark about the gyms.
Yeah, that's all we care about as bodybuilders.
We have to make open outdoors gyms,
Well, I have a little.
Like in California.
I mean, I have. Oh, you talk about open space gyms?
Yes, outdoors. Yes.
Well, that only works
in Santa Monica.
Yeah, you couldn't do that in this part of the country for about 8 months out of the year. It's rainy and cold and snowy and cold and disgusting. Yeah, it wouldn't work. But some places it would work. California, Arizona, Nevada. Some places where Florida, yeah. There's a few states you could probably get away with that. Texas, yeah. I had the gym I went to for many years in Pasadena, California, had a really big outdoor workout area with hammer strength machines, dumbbells, cables. Oh, I love that gym. It's a Gold's Gym now, but man, loved it. Yeah, sunshine, fresh air. It was good. Could see the mountains. It was awesome. Anyway, doctor, thank you so much for taking the time. Everybody, we appreciate your viewership. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell so that you're notified when we come out with new videos, because every Tuesday we post another Ask Dr. Testosterone. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll see you next time.